Um, there were quite a few questions, and I have shuffled them up, so I'm not taking them in any order. And I've only read the questions once, and that's when I originally saw them on my computer screen and downloaded them. And the reason I do that is I'd rather speak to you extemporaneously. I'm much more comfortable just speaking to you extemporaneously than I am in preparing how I'm going to answer a question. So, as I say, the orders of these questions have been taken out of random. The first question, or the first page of questions that I have, is from an email that was posted on our site from Chuck Sebenthal. And Chuck asked the question, actually there's more than one. He said, what happens to spirits in this incarnation who create mayhem on earth? And of course, when he's saying spirits, I think in this incarnation, he's actually talking about we who are in body, we who are mortals, I'm sure. He said, what happens to those who are mass murderers, like Hitler and Stalin? Do they enter, say, the spirits who enter? Okay, let's stop with that question. I have shared with you in my book, Time for Truth, that you should envision that each one of us have inside of us a pyramid of 1,000 steps. At the very top of the pyramid is God and Christ consciousness. And the purpose of our lives, the journey that we are on, is to climb those steps one at a time until we eventually reach the top and become at one with God and Christ consciousness. That is the purpose of our lives. It takes many lifetimes to do that. Now, in the case of Sarah, there's absolutely no question in my mind that Sarah's on step 999. Sarah's not going to be incarnated again because she's already a living saint, which is why she has such incredible gifts. Because as you evolve further and further up the pyramid and become closer to God and Christ consciousness, you find that you have more and more gifts. Just as Joshua said 2,000 years ago, every one of you can do as I can, as I do. But at the same time, you have someone who's a saint like Sarah, a living saint, who's at step 9,999. You have others like a Stalin, or like a bin Laden, or like a Hitler, who are in steps below 10, maybe on steps 1 and 2 and 3. Far removed from being at one with Christ and Christ consciousness and God. And if there was such a thing as hell, which there isn't, when they die, transition soul, they would have gone into hell. But because there isn't such a thing as hell, what happens when they die, they will go into the spirit level where other souls like themselves, who are also in steps 2 and 3 and 4, like they are, would be there also. And they would be taught the lessons and be given the experience of trying to work with them to change their knowledge and their souls, to understand the incredible cruelty and the lives that they so badly showed a lack of compassion for and hurt during their lifetime. And they have a long way to go. They have a tremendously long way to go, because if they died when they were I just lost my picture. Okay. If they died when they were in step 2 or 3, that means that's a step they'll come back on. That's the level they'll come back on when they come back and they're reincarnated in the body. And they have to start a tremendous climb in order to eventually reach the top. Now, what I'm told is that the average of the people in the world, are on average around step 200. So we have a long way to go. And as you get further along, higher, above step 200, we are ascending spiritually. We are evolving, becoming closer with God and with Christ consciousness. And that's, of course, what we do on our website. There's so many of us who visit our website daily that we try to help each other to evolve spiritually. Now, if I'm not hearing, my phone is ready to receive a call, so Risa or Mariana, if you're not calling me, that means that you folks are hearing me and you can see me. The other question, which is a continuation of the question Chuck asked, do spirits who enter, let's say, in the 400th step of the pyramid, but they cause nothing but trouble, Will they return to the 400 step or a lower level? They return on a lower level. If you do a transition of soul and you're on step 450, because you progressed from step 400 to 450 during your last lifetime, you will go into the spiritual level with other souls and spirits who are approximately also on step 450, that are evolved at the same level you are. And that's the teachings that you'll be given, the respect that you'll be given from those in the spirit world who are the master spirits that train you and teach us and have us look at our last lifetime and prepare us for our next lifetime. It's the same as in classroom. If you're in school in your educational system, you go into a classroom that's consistent with the other students in the same class as you, so you can all study and learn together. If you're a 7th grade student, you don't go into a classroom of college students where you wouldn't understand what's being taught, nor would you go into a classroom of 2nd graders where they'd be so far below where you are that you'd say, why am I here? I already know that 1 and 1 is 2. And so it is in the spiritual world. When our souls make the transition to the spirit world, because I don't believe in death, it's a transition of soul, you'll enter into the spiritual world at a level that is totally consistent with how involved you are in the past lifetime you had. So the answer to your question is that if you lived a lifetime that was, for whatever reason, you made many, many mistakes and you didn't live your life in a compassionate, loving way to others, you can go backwards. You can go down the stairway. So though you might have entered your current lifetime at 400, when you made your transition of soul, you might instead evolve in reverse and be in step 300. So that when you enter the spirit world, you'll be going to the 300 level rather than the 400. I hope that makes sense to you, and I hope I've answered your question, Chuck. Next question you asked, Chuck, was, how does karma enter into your life? The way karma enters is that one of the things that we do in our lifetime is we try to make amends for those things we did in our past lifetimes that our soul tells us cause harm or hurt for other people. In other words, if you were prejudiced towards people of dark skin in this lifetime, your karma has to resolve that. You have to deal with that and get forgiveness for the bigotry you showed in that lifetime. This may happen by you yourself perhaps being born with very dark skin in this next lifetime, and you be exposed to prejudice and bigotry, so you know what it's like to experience bigotry and prejudice because of the color of your skin. So you in turn will be able to release that negative karma that you have. Or you might come into this lifetime where you become a leader of the movement, of wanting to help people, even though you yourself might be Caucasian, wanting to become a leader in the movement to help people who are of dark skin to be able to live a life where they aren't being exposed to prejudice and bigotry. But you have to deal with that karma, because your purpose in life of evolving, become closer to Christ consciousness, and to become at one with God, is to be able to have those marks on your soul, which I consider karma that you created in a lifetime in the past, erased, so you become pure enough to be able to get closer and closer and to evolve, and to eventually evolve to where you don't have to come back again, where you're like Sarah, and you can reach that step 1,000, and you don't have to come back into this world where we have so many challenges, and be able to retain yourself in the spirit world. Now also, there's such a thing as positive karma. You could have done things in your last lifetime that are so positive that you want to be rewarded for the things that you did. So you can experience a lifetime where you're given certain attributes, certain gifts, certain talents, so you can enjoy life more than you otherwise would not have. And it's God's way of rewarding your soul for having done things that were positive and wonderful and having created positive karma. The last question that Chuck asked was, should our spirits be working hard now to get to the highest rung on the ladder in this lifetime? I'm not sure the correct word is hard. And the reason I say this, that if we live our lives embracing universal love and universal compassion, I find that so much easier than living your life doing just the opposite, not having compassion and love for others. If I can live my life, or you can live your lives, giving out love and kindness to others so that you impact the lives of others, your life is going to be so much happier than if you lived your life being angry or selfish or lacking generosity or being unfriendly to people. So it's not a case of living your life harder. I honestly believe it's living your life easier, because we are a mirror. We are a mirror of what we do in our lifetimes is how people treat us. If you live your life giving love and kindness and gentleness and friendship to others, that's what you're going to get back. And that's so much easier way to live, for you to get love and kindness and generosity from others than to live your life just the opposite. So it's actually, Chuck, I think, living your life easier rather than living your life harder, in order to allow yourself to continue to evolve up those steps of that pyramid to become at one with God and Christ consciousness.